Marlene and Tommy were both volunteers that I worked with, and this isn't going to be up here, who are both wonderful people. And when I saw them on the brochure for the program for today, I thought, wow, they couldn't have picked two of my volunteers that are least alike. And you probably got a little bit of it when you saw them on the screen. I remember Tommy's partner in particular, because Tommy was in the first training group that I worked with when I first came to Peace Corps. And his partner at first was a brand new mayor, former police chief, as I recall. And all I remember is that every single time I saw him, he was in this bright, almost scarlet red shirt with this unbelievably shiny black suit. And he'd come up to me every time he saw me, and it was all of like that high, but tough. I mean, I know he could lift me. And he'd come up to me and just start firing rapid fire Romanian at me. And Peace Corps does a great job of training their volunteers in language, and they do a very poor job of training their staff. So, I would say, da, 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 da. And he never got that I, never said anything other than da. And every single time, including the workshop, and I remember him at the workshop too, because I walk in and his eyes get all bright, and he runs up and da, 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 da. But yeah, Tommy was a great volunteer, Marlene was a great volunteer, and it's wonderful to be here hearing these stories about this great program that obviously I love so much. So let me get started with the formalities. Ambassador Pendleton. By the way, my formalities got a lot shorter, which is good. Ambassador Pendleton, fellow country directors, past and present, and mostly to the great volunteers, trainees, partners, home safe families, and friends. There's no professional affiliation that I have in my entire career that brings me more pride than my connection to Peace Corps Moldova. Indefinitely. Today we're celebrating a 20-year heritage of people-to-people partnership that, as recently as 25 years ago, could not have existed. Partnership between people of a nation that 25 years ago had never really existed. And partnership with people of another nation that those very same people had been taught for many years were their enemies. When I think back to your days, Ambassador Pendleton and Justine, I think of how unbelievable that must have been. And 15 years later, when I show on the scene, it's still unbelievable. It's still improbable. Most of us in this room grew up in a time when, A, we didn't know where Moldova was, of course on our side. It didn't exist, and the thought that Americans and people of the former Soviet Union would live together, would work together, would teach together, would form businesses together, imagine that. Really, it's just incredible. I'm going to partially retell a story because it's on the screen, and I'll try to go through it quickly. But 3 years ago, roughly, I look up, and I'm sitting at the country director desk that Janet occupies now, and I look up and there's this wonderful, intelligent, bright-looking woman standing in my doorway, looking expectantly at me, and I look up and I try to be nice and friendly to anybody who comes to my office, and I invite her in, and she sits down and she starts talking to me, and eventually she gives me this look and she says, "You don't know who I am, do you?" Like, no, I don't know who you are. Well, this is the first I heard, because she has an appointment, but nobody had informed me. So yeah, this wonderful person comes in to have this talk with me, and it's the very first ambassador to Moldova. And she sits down and she takes time out of a very busy schedule to tell me the story that she told you, which I think is just an amazing story, and it really touched my heart at that time, and it gave me energy. We were about a year or two out of the 50-year anniversary of Peace Corps Worldwide, and I thought, wow, here I've been in this chair for about 3 years and nobody's told me the founding of the country. And she tells this fabulous story about the very first president of Moldova and her founding Peace Corps. And I thought, this is our first partnership story. It's right here. And it's so appropriate for Peace Corps Moldova that it happened this way, and that it happened against all odds, and that it was improbable. And that she does this fantastic turn of phrase, which she got in her talk, where at the last minute she tweaks Peace Corps and we get it. And I think Janet and Justine and I probably have all had our experiences where we thought, okay, I got him. I got what I wanted out of them. They were ignoring us again, and we're too important to ignore. This is too... We won. We won. So I've been asked as a former staff member to speak about Peace Corps Moldova in 2008. So we're roughly 15 people in, which is about right, because that gets you roughly to when I show up. So even though on the program it says that I was country director from 2008 to 2012, that's actually partially incorrect. I originally started out in Moldova as the programming and training officer. So Ryan back there remembers me coming on in those days under that position. That's now the director of programming and training, which Alex holds that position. One definitive strength that I saw when I first got in and looking around is that Peace Corps Moldova doesn't lose its staff very much. And so we still, to this day, have a whole lot of staff members, a number of staff members that we already figured out that Justine hired. So Peace Corps Moldova staff members stay around, but I do want to say the few people that I got to bring on board because I'm proud of that. I got to bring on board both Violettas, Sasha, Christina, Olesia, Iwan, and Magdalena. And so, probably more than anything else, that's a legacy that I'm intensely proud of, is those people. And then, of course, I got to work with the fabulous people that I found here. So, generally, when I talk about Peace Corps staff here in Moldova, I talk about people being great. And we have a great staff here. And, let's see, is he here? He's not here, is he? Dang it, okay. So my joke is on a specific person who's not in the room, but I'll tell him. By great staff, I hope you all understand that I mean all the staff in Peace Corps Moldova, and that absolutely positively is true. And I hope the staff here who are hearing me say this today will also tell you that I said it all the time. So this isn't new to them. But I was going to make this joke on one person who probably would hear, okay, Jeffrey said great staff, but, because that's the way he is. But I'm not joking, but I don't mean any exceptions. So, as I said, the program that we have today and the program that I found at that time were basically the same. We had 4 projects. We had a TEFL project, we had a health project, we had a CD project, and we had what at that time was called agribusiness and agricultural development. 3 of these projects were led by the exact same people that they're being led by today. So Nina, Elvira, and Vitali. There was only one male in that group, and he's the male I was talking about. And 2 of the 4 program specialists are still with us today, Nina and Lucia. And so great people that I've had to work with. And that was my staff at that time because I was director of programming and training. So before I came out to Moldova, I was given a briefing by, and I was hoping Regional Director Loman would be here today so I could make fun of her, because it's been a while since I've been able to do that. But I was briefed by the regional director at the time, which was not her, although he had been her regional director when she was a country director in China. And he laid out very clearly to me that I had 3 tasks to do when I came to Moldova. I'm the deputy here, not the CD. One was, Jeffrey, we need 4 project plans for Moldova. Yes, sir. There are way too many volunteer committees. Okay, sir. And we need to have volunteers teaching English directly, or teaching, partner teaching English. Okay. I can assume that you'll be getting these things done and you'll communicate this to the director. Yes, sir. So I go out to post, and I was met at the airport by the then country director, Jeff Clark. And, over time we get to talking, and I tell him that there are these 3 things. And the first one, it's like 4 project plans, great, that's why I hired you. Volunteer committees, I don't know about that. And good luck on item 3. Because I'm not sure if I like the idea anyway, but there's someone down the hall who's really not going to like it. So, and excuse me if I start really reading my script here because I'm walking on very thin ice. Because I'm talking about none other than the Nina Podhoroka. And I figured out when I was writing the story that I had 3 possibilities. If I tell this exactly wrong, she's going to glare at me, which most people don't know what Nina looks like when she's glaring. It's not nice. It's not nice. And if I tell it just right, I'll get no response, which, that's impossible. And then if I tell it properly, I'm going to make her cry. Now, I think I'm already succeeding in making two of you, so I'm doing okay. Now, I learned very on from working with Nina that the best way to make her cry and make her angry is to try not to make her cry. So I'm not going to even go down that route. I'm assuming that this is an outcome of the story, and I even wrote it this way. The truth is, and I can say this about a lot of the staff in Moldova, but I'm picking on Nina today. The truth is, Nina puts every ounce of her being into Peace Corps. And if you think she didn't have any more ounces to give, because I said every, she puts every ounce of her being into education in Moldova. And we got her from the Ministry of Education, and that was great. And then she doubles and triples all those ounces that she could possibly get, and she puts that into developing and supporting the volunteers in the project. This person could not give more. And I think I put this joke later in, but I'm going to tell it now. This is a joke that I couldn't find the proper place to put it, but I found it here. Is what I wanted to say is, even though we're at 20 years of history in Peace Corps Moldova, we've got 2 staff members in this room, at least, that have 50 years of timesheets of giving service to Peace Corps Moldova. And we have timesheets to prove that, and that's Nina and Elvira. I mean, you sign off week after week after week of 80, 120 hours from these women. And we all have 3 a.m. in the morning emails from their offices to prove it. So one easy way to upset this fabulous professional is to suggest, maybe, just maybe, there's something important about the way she's managing her project that she could do differently. Bad step. That was my task by the regional director. Anyway, suggesting moving our TEFL project, which at that time, and it's interesting to hear you talk, at that time had become a project where our volunteers just taught pretty much alone in classrooms. So it was one volunteer teaching English alone. So to suggest, after 15 years of Nina guiding and putting everything she has into this project to something pretty dramatically different, was really calling into question. And I was sent on a fool's errand to do it, but really calling into question somebody who cared a lot more at that time than I did about the way things would happen. And as you can expect, and if anybody's gone in to try to get Nina to do something different and think that she's not ready for you, you're wrong. Because she said, Jeffrey, well, we thought about that, and let me go through the reasons why. And then she could list one after another, after another, after another, after another, after another. So see, this is the reason why this isn't really the good idea. Okay. Go back. Okay, I got to think about how to approach this differently. Next time I get the opportunity to talk to Nina, Nina says 10 or 20 more reasons that she had thought of since I had last thought of it. I'd come up with 1 or 2 reasons to change her mind. And so really I was getting frustrated. And it's like, wow, I've got a regional director that has this pressure on me. There are volunteers who are raising questions. This is really, I'm on a fool's errand. And I try one more time and I make Nina cry, which isn't the first time, but it's one of the worst times up to this point. And I go home, and really, I'm up a good part of the night thinking, this is it. I'm not going to make any progress here. I'm not winning this battle. The next morning, I get into the office, and Nina's basically pacing outside my office. It's like, this is not good. I am in trouble. And she comes in, and she says, Jeffrey, I stayed up all last night. I'm like, oh God, I only stayed up part of last night. And she's almost out of breath. I mean, she's been pacing. And she says, she stayed up all last night, and she decided team teaching's the right thing to do. I'm like, whoa, I didn't see that one coming. And then she starts in her very Nina way again, verbally explaining exactly how she's going to do it. First we're going to do this, and then we're going to do that, and then we're going to do this, and we're going to start training, and then she wraps it all up with, and then we're going to roll the program out at the end of the summer. It's like, what program, Nina? Team teaching. It's like, to the new trainees. No. What do you mean? Jeffrey, it's the right thing to do. So we need to do it for everyone. Like, oh, Nina.